Good evening. Welcome everybody to QuewsNews. I'm your host, Dr. Shahid Latif. And today we've got another fantastic guest joining us. The topic of discussion is the announcement of the election by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on the 4th of July. This is obviously big news. It's come suddenly. There was a cabinet meeting today and it was highlighted and it was announced about the election. So this has come earlier than we had anticipated. So we are going to be talking about the impact that some of the current affairs, some of the issues, global issues that are occurring around the world, and there is no issue and discussion more powerful than what is happening in Palestine, in Gaza, specifically the conflict in Gaza. So we've got our guest who I'm going to be introducing, and we're going to be asking Dr. Amir Birni, who is a medical educator and also an orthopedic surgeon. He's also the founder member of UPNE, ex-president of UPNE, and he has joined us today to talk about the impact that this global issue, this war or conflict, as we name it in Gaza, and the impact that it will have not only on the elections, but the whole concept of Islamophobia and how this is going to turn out. So welcome, Dr. Amir Birni.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Good to see you, Shahid.
Thank you, Dr. Amir. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for taking out the time on such short notice. So, as already highlighted, the elections have been announced by the Prime Minister today. Coupled with that, we have an ongoing issue, a major issue, which has been the talk for at least 8 to 9 months since October 2023. And there have been major criticisms, a lot of decisions or indecisions around the support or non-support of the war. A lot of sides have been taken. There's been a lot of discussions around Islamophobia, around anti-Semitism, etc. So just wanted to get your views on what do you feel, Dr. Amir Birni, would be the impact of the Gaza war on the current elections that are coming up?
Well, thank you. I think it's a huge question, isn't it? First, obviously, the announcement of the elections took us slightly by surprise. I know it was looming. We kept hearing news that the elections will happen, and when they will happen was the $60 million question, wasn't it? So, like everybody else, I heard it on the news, the BBC News channel, coming back from work, that the elections have been announced for the first week of July, which is not far away if you look at it. It's only about maybe 2 months and a bit. However, both nationally, locally, as well as internationally, there are so many factors, variables which are having a direct impact on this election. I think this is one of the most important elections we will see, and hopefully, we all hope and pray that the conflict in Gaza is resolved as soon as possible. Because, let alone the politics to the side, on a humane level, on a humanity level, this is a catastrophe, and this needs to stop. And both sides need to have some sense of how this is really causing such huge, large-scale disasters on a human level. And I hope and pray that this is the case and our politicians do look into it. But there's also the matters of local issues. There are also the matters of national issues, right from the NHS to immigration to Islamophobia, as you correctly said, and other issues which are affecting not just us as British Muslim minorities or British Muslim communities or British Pakistanis, if you want to call it. It's also affecting every other community who live and reside in the UK. So I think we need to dissect it both locally, nationally, and obviously the international impact of the war on the forthcoming elections.
Thank you, Dr. Birni. You see, it's come as a surprise to a lot of people. There were indications that the Prime Minister had mentioned that the elections will take place in the second half of the year of 2024. But no one was anticipating as soon as the second part starts, which is in July. The anticipation was in November. So, in your view, in your opinion, there is an issue here in relation to which way this will go. There must be very genuine reasons, or there must be, this consideration or discussions in detail must have taken place within the cabinet to announce it for July. The Tory party obviously are going to be looking for it to go in their favour. In your view, in your opinion, how do you see out, considering we call it the Gaza war, we call it the Gaza conflict, or we call it the Gaza genocide? and people who are going to be voting are going to be seeing it from different angles. So, considering how the Tory party have played out or have presented themselves, or the decisions or the comments or the narrative that has come out from the Tory party, but not only from the Tory party, but also from the Labour Party, and then we have other parties like the Lib Dems and also the Independents coming through. Where do you see this going?
As I said earlier, this is going to be one of the close call elections. As I said, nobody can predict it. However, yes, each party would be looking to win the elections with a majority, if not with a comfortable majority. However, I think if you look at the international impact of the war, certainly where there's a Muslim majority in the UK, there is there is a sense of disappointment, there's a sense of anger possibly about the fact that the major parties, the way they have reacted to it or the way they responded to it, and the comments which you, as you rightly said, being set forth. However, we have to obviously look at the bigger picture as well, and we have to look at the UK as a whole. And there are many things which are affecting us, not just us, me, you, but also our next generation of our children living in this country and their children. So this is going to have a long-term impact on how we vote. One thing I would say that we must all vote, regardless of which party you support, whether it's Labour Party, Independents, the Conservatives, Lib Dems, or any other. George Galloway is coming out as a force to reckon with. As you know, he's won the election in Rochdale, and his councillors have won the elections locally in Manchester as well. So you cannot take them out of the equation as well, the independents and people like George Galloway, because they are a strong contender. However, they are still in the minority. The two major parties are the Labour and the Conservative Party. We have to now make a decision as to who would you like to vote for, and if you are going to vote, ensure that people are registered to vote. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of work we are doing locally in Manchester, is to raise awareness around the fact that everybody needs to get registered to vote. There are many families where only one person is registered to vote, and they don't even vote. And if you look at recent elections in the 2019 elections or even Brexit, quite a large chunk of people never went out to vote. It's so disappointing, isn't it? So I think there are impacts. There will certainly be impacts of national matters and interest, local, wherever we live, Manchester, London, Birmingham, wherever, and also the international impact. How this will impact on the elections, no one really can say. I think we can speculate, as like we do as voters or as party supporters. We would all like to see our party win, or our party electorate gain the majority, or our local MPs win. However, I think we cannot call it. It's going to be a close election.
Thank you, Dr. Bernie. Yes, it is going to be an extremely interesting contest between the two big parties, and obviously the other parties. We see how Lib Dems, how they perform in this particular election. Obviously, it's an opportunity for them as well as the independents to really make their mark. When we talk about it being a Muslim vote, it's not completely Muslim. We've seen recently students coming out who are, not only Muslim, but a lot of non-Muslims coming out, in protest to what's happening in the Middle East, in Gaza in specifically. So it will indeed be a very, very interesting contest. So Dr. Bernie, thank you so much for taking the time out and giving your views and opinions. And we wish you a good evening. And viewers, thank you very much for joining in to Q.News. I've been your host, Dr. Shahid Latif, and we'll see you again. Thank you.